Welcome to Stargate Codex. I am Dr. Elias Thorn, historian and researcher of ancient mysteries. Today, we examine a documented secret from the archives of secret societies and ancient civilizations. We will explore its historical context and recorded significance. Picture an Aswan quarry at first light, a half-dressed shaft of red granite, a chisel-marked face where workmen have scored a future monolith. On the exposed section, a short inscription lists the king's name and a dedication to the sun god. Not a poetic flourish, but a formal statement that the stone is now bound to temple service. That line, recorded in stone beside the cut, reads like a contract binding patron, priest, and deity in perpetuity. In this episode, I will trace the documentary life of the obelisk, the quarry lists that register its extraction, the consecration texts that consecrate its purpose, the logistical receipts that record its movement, and the later antiquarian and esoteric archives that reinterpreted its meaning. We will distinguish the contemporary epigraphic and administrative evidence from the layers of reception that followed. Section 1. Egyptian Origins and Symbolism. The obelisk emerges in the archaeological and textual record as a monument intimately tied to solar theology and temple architecture. By the New Kingdom, obelisks routinely stood before temple pylons, their faces incised with dedicatory formulas and the names of the kings who set them up. Archaeological contexts, temple forecourts at Karnak, the precincts of Heliopolis, and records associated with royal building campaigns place obelisks as features of ceremonial approaches oriented to the rising sun.
The stone itself, often red or pink granite from Aswan, was not chosen merely for durability. In priestly and temple literature, the obelisk's taper and crowned capstone were read as a petrified ray, a verticalization of sunlight that linked the king and his temple directly with the solar deity. Temple lists and temple programs show that obelisks participated in ritual sightlines and liturgical processions. They were landmarks of ritual orientation and visual claims to cosmic order.
Section 2. Inscriptions and the so-called solar contracts. When we examine consecration texts carved on obelisks and associated stelae, a repetitive pattern appears. Dedicatory formulas name the king, invoke the sun deity by epithets current in temple liturgy, and declare the monument set for the Ka, or for the eternal presence of the god. These inscriptions operate as more than pious language. In their phrasing, they mirror administrative phrasing used elsewhere in temple and royal documentation. The choice of verbs, the formulaic clauses that pledge offerings, and the formal mention of temple personnel indicate a ritual legal framework, the donation of a monument, its assignment to temple service, and the expectation of ritual maintenance. Where an inscription records the king's gift to endure before the god forever, it is performing an administrative act in public. Temple scribes and priests cataloged such dedications in temple registers. Priests referenced them in liturgies that specified who maintained what offerings. The language binds the patron's name and reputation to the temple calendar and the cult's material upkeep, a durable contractual relationship carved in stone. Section 3. Quarrying, Transport, and the Economic Footprint. The physical journey of an obelisk begins in quarries such as the granite quarries of Aswan. Quarry lists, masons' notes, and later Greco-Roman descriptions record the program of cutting, dressing, and hauling these monoliths. Techniques included scoring and levering the stone from the bedrock, shaping it at the quarry, and fashioning a base and cap. The logistical demands were enormous. Purpose-built sledges, reinforced barges for Nile transport, and organized labor measured in dozens and often hundreds of skilled workers.
Roman and late antique records add another layer to the picture.
When emperors removed obelisks to Rome or Constantinople, procuratorial and municipal documents, and in some cases dedicatory inscriptions placed at re-erection sites, record expenditures, workforce details, and the engineering feats required to re-erect a single shaft. These records transform the obelisk into a civic asset, not merely a religious marker at its origin, but a portable emblem of power, whose relocation was itself a political and administrative act.
Section 4. Imperial recontextualization and later reception. In Rome, obelisks acquired new reference. Removed from Egyptian temple complexes and set into Roman fora and circus spines, they were inscribed, rededicated, or simply left to testify to imperial grandeur. Later Byzantine and medieval placements reworked their visual function again, and by the early modern period, European antiquarians catalogued obelisks as artifacts of an ancient, exotic past. Esoteric receptions, Freemasons, Rosicrucians, and certain antiquarian writers from the 17th through 19th centuries adopted the obelisk as a potent symbol. In Masonic and Rosicrucian treatises, the obelisk was reinterpreted as an axis mundi, or a symbol of initiation and illumination. Important for our purposes is to separate the contemporary documentary record, quarry notes, temple registers, consecration inscriptions, from these later symbolic readings. The historical sources indicate ritual, legal, and civic functions. Later esoteric authors superimposed metaphors that served 18th and 19th century symbolic vocabularies, rather than ancient administrative practice.
Recap. The documentary life of the obelisk is multi-layered. Primary epigraphic evidence and administrative records portray it as a material instrument of temple economy and cultic commitment, a durable statement that bound kings to gods and temples to civic memory. Transport and procurement records reveal the material and fiscal realities that made such monuments possible. Subsequent imperial reuse and esoteric reinterpretation demonstrate how objects move through new contexts and accrue new meanings, but they do not rewrite the record of what those monuments were in their original temple and bureaucratic settings.
For listeners who wish to follow the sources, detailed citations, translations of key consecration texts, quarry registers, and Roman procurement notices are available in the episode notes and bibliography at stargatecodex.com. There you will find references to temple epigraphy, papyrological receipts, and the later Masonic and Rosicrucian texts discussed here.
That concludes our historical examination of this gate within the Codex. For more detailed research on these topics, the works of Skye Alden provide extensive documentation. The gate is open. History speaks.